Today on the show, we're going to continue looking at the history of Final Fantasy IX. If you didn't know that the number 9 is really prominent inside the game, then this show is for you. Before we start, I do want to say that this is part 2 of a 3-part series, so if you want to find out about the history leading up to the main game, then you should probably watch part 1, which I'll link somewhere around here. But if you're just interested in the main game, then this video is probably the one for you. So, in the world of Gaia, trouble is brewing. Queen Bron Raza Alexandros the 16th is planning full-out war on the lands around her. Regent Cid is really worried about how all these events will affect Princess Garnet, the Princess of Alexandria. So he sends the Tantalus Theatre Group to Alexandria to kidnap Princess Garnet. And among the Tantalus Theatre Group is actually Zidane Tribal, the protagonist of the game. So, the Tantalus Theatre Group distract the Queen with the production of I Want to Be Your Canary and go to kidnap the princess. But it turns out that the princess actually wanted to be taken and allows herself to be kidnapped. The operation begins to go a little bit askew when Albert Stina, captain of the Royal Knights of Pluto, and Vivi, a black mage who was watching the play, accidentally become involved in the operation. Things go from bad to worse when the Queen gets wind of this and her forces begin to attack the theatre ship, the Prima Vista, and this causes the Prima Vista to fall out of the sky and into the evil forest. So, Zidane decides that he's going to help Garnet get to Lindblum by foot, and Baku, the leader of Tantalus, is like, I think that's a crappy idea, and he dismisses Zidane from the group. Vivi and Stina decide to accompany Zidane, and they have to rescue Garnet because she had actually been kidnapped by the evil forest's living flora and fauna. They defeat the heart of the forest, and the forest begins to solidify and paralyze, and everything that was once moving begins to turn to almost wood. So the party start running out of the forest, and another member of Tantalus, Blank, throws Zidane this map of the continent, and he becomes paralyzed inside the forest, and it's only thanks to him that the party actually managed to escape. The party travel to the ice cavern and actually end up collapsing from frostbite. Unfortunately, Zidane wakes up in time and finds Black Waltz 1, who turns out to be the source of the ice. Now, the Black Waltzes, because there's 3 of them, are actually these extra powerful black mages specifically created by Bran for the recapture of Princess Garnet. Zidane single-handedly defeats the Black Waltz. Garnet ends up taking up the name Dagger to blend in with regular people, and they travel to the nearby village of Dali after they've made it out of the ice cavern. While in the village, Vivi is actually kidnapped and taken to this underground factory, and the whole party are shocked and horrified to discover that the village is actually creating black mages using mist and shipping them out to Alexandria to be used as weapons. Garnet begins to wonder if she should go to Alexandria and question her mother about the black mages, or just continue to Lindblum. Her thoughts are short-lived because they're actually interrupted by Black Waltz number 2, who the party make very quick work of. The party then board a cargo ship, which turns out to be piloted by a bunch of soulless black mages. While on the ship, the party come under fire from Black Waltz number 3, and Garnet is left to pilot the ship, leaving the journey's destination in her hands. She ultimately decides that it'll be best and safer for her to go to Lindblum. This results in the party having to battle the Black Waltz while going through the South Gate, which actually heavily damages the gate. The party meet with Regent Cid, and he says that he wants to protect Princess Garnet, but he can't go to war against Alexandria because he has to protect his own borders. Zidane runs into his old friend Freya Crescent while exploring Lindblum, and finds out that the Festival of the Hunt is about to start. Now, the Festival of the Hunt is essentially this event where a number of monsters and creatures are released into the streets of Lindblum, and it's up to warriors and mages to battle them for a prize. Zidane, Freya, and Vivi all enter, and whoever wins the festival is actually down to how you play the game. Meanwhile, Bran begins full-out war against Bermesia, Freya's home, and the party decides that their best course of action would actually be to go to Bermesia and check things out. However, Cid orders Garnet to stay in Lindblum, something she's more than a little bit butthurt about. Garnet spikes the festival feast with sleeping weed, and absconds with Stina to the south gate. And the party think that she's gone ahead to Bermesia, so they go to Bermesia via Gizamaluk's grotto, which is a holy place for the people of Bermesia. When the party get to the city, they find the whole place is in ruins, and when they get to the city's palace, they actually find Queen Bran, the legendary General Beatrix, and this mysterious man named Kuja. Queen Bran makes very, very quick work on the party, and she sets her eyes on the nearby nation of Clara.
It's super effective!
Meanwhile, Garnet and Stina have actually made it to Treno, and on their way to Treno they actually run into Marcus, a member of the Tantalus Theatre Group, and he's looking for something called the Super Soft, which should release Blank from the Evil Forest's paralyzation. In Treno, turns out that Garnet's childhood tutor, Dr. Tot, actually owns the Super Soft, and he willingly gives it over to Marcus. The threesome are able to take the hidden Garganru pathway back to Alexandria, and when they get there, Stina and Marcus are locked up, and Queen Bran demands that all Garnet's Eidolons be extracted from her, which is a process that could very well endanger her life. One of the first Eidolons that are distracted is Odin, and he is used to destroy Clara. But Freya, Vivi, and Zidane are actually in Clara at this time. They're only able to escape by jumping in this portal type thing to the airship the Red Rose. The reason Zidane, Freya, and Vivi were actually in Clara was to warn the Clarians about the oncoming Alexandrian invasion. Their warnings were heeded but didn't exactly work. You see, the sandstorm that normally surrounded the city had stopped, and this allowed Beatrix to get into the city, steal the city's prized jewel, and escape back onto the Red Rose. While on the airship, the party are able to find this telepod kind of thing that allows them to beat Queen Bran back to Alexandria, free Marcus and Stina, and find Garnet and take her up to her room to receive healing from Beatrix, who has a total change of heart at this point. A massive battle breaks out between our party, aided by Beatrix, and Bran's forces. Fortunately, Garnet, Zidane, and Vivi make it back to the Garganru pathway, and the Gargant that they were riding on actually gets spooked by this snake-like creature, and they end up crashing at Pinnacle Rock instead of stopping at Treno. So at Pinnacle Rock, the Eidolon Ramu appears to Garnet and basically says, "Hey, you know your summoning ability is killing people, right?" And Garnet basically goes, "Yeah, but it's not my fault." And Ramu goes, "I know, which is why if you pass my test, I'll give you a new summoning ability." Garnet passes the test with flying colours and earns the ability to summon Ramu. So the party leave Pinnacle Rock just in time to see Bran use Atmos, another Eidolon, to destroy Lindblum. The party sneak into the city and find Sid, and Sid is like, "You guys need to go to the Outer Continent, because she's using all these black mages as her main weapons, and apparently all the mist comes from the Outer Continent." He gives the party a world map and tells them that there's a way to go to the Outer Continent in the nearby Q's Marsh that's only recently been discovered, so they should be able to get there fairly undetected. While in the nearby Q's Marsh, the party run into a Quan named Quina, and this Quan actually leads the party to the entrance to the Outer Continent and ends up joining the party. While in the cavern, the party are attacked by a mercenary named Lani, who basically says, "I don't need Garnet alive, I just need that jewel around her neck because that's what Queen Bran wants and that's how I'm gonna get paid." The party defeats her very, very easily and then makes it out to the Outer Continent. When they get there, they are very, very surprised by the apparent lack of mist. They quickly find a town full of dwarves, and when in the town, they find a black mage who runs away. The party obviously give chase because what is a black mage doing on the Outer Continent, and they find a whole village full of black mages. While in the village, Vivi finds out that most black mages only have a lifespan of about a year, but because he's a prototype, he might have more, but he might also have less. And even with that in mind, Vivi continues on his adventure with Zidane. The party go back to the dwarven village and come out the other side, where they encounter a young girl called Eco Carol, the last remaining survivor of the Madain Sari summoner tribe. The party suspect that the source of the mist might be the Ifa tree, They suspect this because it's the only place on the outer continent that has any mist, and it seems to be emitting said mist. Eco basically explains that even if they wanted to explore there, they couldn't, because it's been sealed off by an eidolon. The party convinced Eco to unseal the tree, and they climb the tree to its core. And at its core they find this endlessly green, shimmering pool. And from out of the pool comes the creature known as Soul Cage, who basically explains that the mist is just a byproduct of the tree, and the tree's main purpose is to take all the Gaian souls and replace them with Terrian ones. Something that the party don't understand, but what they do understand is that every single soul is being emitted out through the tree's roots around the world as mist. Our group makes quick work of the creature, and the mist around the world disappears. Our group return to Medainsari and find that the village's prized gem has actually been taken by Lani. The party defeat her once again, and a man named Amaranth Coral joins the team after Zidane defeats him and refuses to kill him. Everyone returns to the Eiffel Tree and sees Kuja there, who in turn is looking out on the Eiffel Tree's coast because Queen Bran and her entire navy fleet are coming to the outer continent. Kuja begins to attack Bran and her navy with his monsters, and Garnet wants to protect her mother, so she absorbs a nearby eidolon, and this eidolon turns out to be Leviathan, and obviously that's a sea monster, so that will be pretty useless in this situation, which causes Garnet to break down crying. Bran then summons Bahamut, but Kuja is able to take control of the Dragon King Eidolon by using the Terrian airship the Invincible. He then tells the Dragon King to wipe out Bran and her entire military with a single mega flare. Queen Bran then washes up on the shore of the Eiffel Tree and regains her former sanity, and she apologizes to Garnet for all the terrible things that she's done before passing away. This of course forces Garnet to stop her adventure and become Queen of Alexandria.
It's super effective!
So Garnet's coronation is more than a little bit short-lived. You see, Kuja and all his forces and monsters turn up to Alexandria, and he summons Bahamut, and he gets the Dragon King to attack people and their homes and basically destroy lives. Garnet gets her military out in the streets to protect people, and she begins to climb the Alexandrian palace because she feels it calling to her. Meanwhile, the rest of the party fly into Alexandria from Treno using Sid's non-mist-powered airship, the Hilda Grade 2. Eco jumps from the airship, and the two girls are able to summon the Holy Guardian of Alexandria, Alexander. And this should give you a general idea of how powerful that these two girls are at summoning. I mean, a whole tribe 500 years ago of summoners could not control Alexander, but these two girls can, which means they're some hot shit summoners. Alexander vanquishes Bahamut, but then this mysterious old man appears controlling the Invincible, and he uses the Invincible to destroy Alexander and half of Alexandria. Garnet is really shocked by this turn of events, plus she wasn't exactly over her mother's death just yet, so this resulted in her being rendered totally mute. The party go to Lindblum for refuge, and this is where Sid gives the party the sea ship, the Blue Narcissus. The party go to the Black Mage village to find out where Kuja lives. The Black Mages reveal that Kuja lives on the other side of the outer continent, in the Desert Palace. The party go to the Desert Palace but fall into a trap, and they are all locked into holding cells. Zidane is released from his holding cell and told to choose 3 of his friends who will accompany him to Oilibert, and only after he returns with the Gulug stone will his other friends be released. He, however, has to keep in mind that magic does not work in Oilibert. So while at Oilibert, the party encounter a number of artifacts and illustrations from Terra, but obviously the party have no idea what exactly a Terra is. They eventually find the Gulug stone, and it's being guarded by the ancient Eidolon Ark. And you might be wondering, well, what the hell is an Eidolon doing in Terran ruins if Terra never had any of its own Eidolons? Well, I have a lot to say about that, and you can find out about that in part 3 of this series. So the remaining 4 party members and Sid manage to escape their holding cells, and shut down the palace security system. Kuja then takes the Gulug stone off of Zidane after he returns, and also kidnaps Eiko and takes both of them to Mount Gulug. The party give chase and pass through Gaza and make it in just enough time to witness Zorn and Thorn attempt the extraction ritual on Eiko. But then Mog appears and reveals her true Eidolon form, the Eidolon Maydeen, and Maydeen destroys Zorn and Thorn. Kuja realizes that he's not about to get a hold of any Eidolons anytime soon, but he comes up with a plan B. He's going to merge with all the locked away souls of Terra to force himself into a permanent state of trance. The party are wondering what they should do next when Queen Hilda, Cid's wife, reveals herself. Cid apologizes to her profusely, and the whole party, Cid and Queen Hilda, return to Lindblum. While in Lindblum, Cid is returned to his human form, the Hilda Grade 3 is completed, and Garnet returns to her mother's grave. Zidane obviously gives chase to her because that's the whole love story that's going on through this whole game. While at her mother's grave, Garnet turns around and reveals that she can speak again, and makes a promise to fight for herself, fight for her people, and fight for her love, and she cuts her ponytail off of her hair, which in a lot of Eastern cultures signifies a new birth, a new you, and a new start to your life. Queen Hilda tells the party about Kuja's plans and are directed to Ibsen's castle on the Forgotten Continent. When they get to Ibsen's castle, they find that it's totally inverted and upside down and totally bonkers to travel about in. While in the castle, the party find 4 elemental mirrors, which are the keys to Terra, and the Guardian Tarka. It is worth mentioning that in this dungeon, Amarant goes off on his own and is like, I don't need teamwork. And then obviously, after you defeat the boss, you have to go and save Amarant. Now the party realised that the mirrors were placed on a world map, and for each place that the mirrors were, there was an elemental shrine. So the party splits themselves into 4 groups of 2 and travels to each elemental shrine simultaneously. Now at each of the shrines there's a guardian, and the party managed to make quick work of each and every guardian and place the respective mirror inside the shrine, thus opening up the pathway to Terra in Shimmering Island. So the party fly over Shimmering Island, and while flying over Shimmering Island, they are taken up off the airship and float up into the sky. And you may be thinking, Faust, if Terra is inside of Gaia, why are they being taken up into the sky? Well, that's because it's shut up. The party arrive on Terra and run into a girl that looks a lot like Zidane called Mikoto. She takes the party to the nearby genome village of Bran Bao and takes Zidane to Garland. Garland reveals to Zidane that not only is he a genome, he's a genome that was created with the purpose of destroying the world. Zidane is horrified to hear this and tries fighting back against Garland, but Garland goes, looks like you're another failure, and shuts away Zidane in the depths of pandemonium. He did this in an attempt to take away Zidane's soul, and this can only be done if a genome falls into the deepest depths of depression, because that's when they are most vulnerable. So the party go into pandemonium and free Zidane, and Zidane's all like, leave me alone, and Vivi's like, it's okay, I was a creation too, it's honestly not all that bad. And Zidane's like, you don't understand, midlife crisis, bitch, bitch, bitch. And Garnet's all like, don't be a twat. And Zidane's all like, okay. And the party have a new resolve to save the day. And this is actually considered the most touching scene in the whole game. The party then fight their way through Pandemonium, also known as Garland's castle, fight him and defeat him. The party only intended to interrogate Garland to get some information, but this is interrupted by Kuja, who showcases his ability to extract all the souls of Terra and enter a permanent state of trance, and then he uses an Ultima spell on the party, which puts them kind of near death, or at least very badly injured. Kuja reveals his plans to rule both Gaia and Terra, and Garland is all like, even if you did do this, it will be useless, and Kuja's all like, shut up, and kicks Garland off the precipice of Pandemonium. There are a number of theories around Garland, like, why didn't he just have the Terrians live on Gaia and have their souls go to the Gaian crystal instead of the dying Terrian crystal? And we'll actually get into that in part 3 of the series, because Those theories are some of the most interesting in the game. Garland, now a disembodied voice from beyond the grave, basically says to Kuja, "You know, I put a lifespan on your life and you're gonna die in about a year's time anyway." Kuja, being the bitter fucking queen that he is, then decides, well, if I can't rule both worlds, no one can, and he makes a plan to destroy the planet crystal, which would destroy both worlds. Before leaving Terra, Kuja begins to unleash a wave of Ultima spells, thus destroying the planet, and the party are only able to escape by commandeering the Invincible and taking it back through Shimmering Island with all the genomes.
It's super effective!
Upon their arrival back in Gaia, they realize that mist has filled the world once again, and it's actually coming once again from the Ifa tree. So above the Ifa tree, this glowing pink ball appears, and this is actually the entrance to Memoria, which in turn is actually the source of every soul and every memory that has ever existed on Gaia. The Alexandrian and Lindblum militaries appear, and they clear the hordes of silver dragons, thus allowing the Invincible to enter into Memoria and stop Kuja's plans. So while travelling through this strange plane of memories, the party actually have to battle a number of monsters that Kuja have created in an attempt to stop the party, and they actually also see a number of their own subconscious memories and a number of the planet's own memories, such as the failed planet fusion and even the birth of Gaia. Garland's disembodied voice guides the party through Memoria until they reach the entrance of the Crystal World. Now this Crystal World is this plane of existence that doesn't have time or space, it just is, and it is the core of the planet. Deep in the Crystal World, the party finally encounter Kuja. Kuja, realizing he's outmatched, unleashes this devastating Ultima spell, which seemingly destroys him and the party. The party awakens somewhere called the Hill of Despair, and they come before this being called Necron, who wishes for nothingness to exist, meaning he wants to destroy the planet, destroy the universe, destroy everything. Necron also hints that he was the one pulling the strings of existence, so all the events of the game happened. The party are fortunately able to defeat him and destroy him. Next thing we see is Kuja seemingly teleporting the party outside of the Crystal World and onto the base of the Ifa tree. So the majority of the party return to Alexandria on the Hill de Grade 3. Zidane promises that he'll meet up with them later, and he makes his way into the tree to try and find Kuja, but the two of them are sealed inside of the tree, somewhat similar to what happened at the beginning of the game with Evil Forest. At this point, the party obviously believes Zidane to be dead, and they continue on with their lives as best as they can, but Garnet actually enters a deep, deep depression, which she's struggling with while having to rule Alexandria. From here we enter an epilogue, and we see that Eiko has become a princess of Alexandria, Kina has become the Alexandrian head chef, Amarant has entered a friendship with Lani, and the two of them are travelling the world together. Freya is helping with the repairs of Bemisia, and has entered a relationship again with Sir Frailty, who is a character that we'll be exploring in part 3 of the series, because he's kind of interesting but not entirely relevant to the overarching plot of the game. Stina is reinstated as the head of the Knights of Pluto, and Vivi has had a number of children with who we don't know, but there are a number of theories around this, including asexual reproduction. The Tantalus Theatre Group have come back to Alexandria to once again perform I Want to Be Your Canary, and a man in a cloak, who Garnet believes to be Marcus, is on stage acting away, but then he takes off his shroud and is revealed to be Zidane. Garnet jumps away and runs through the crowd and jumps up into Zidane's arms while the crowd cheers, the party cheers, some of them are crying from happiness, and joy ensues and your feels overwhelm and you cry from happiness, and the game ends to Melodies of Life, the song that reoccurred throughout the entire game. The end of this Final Fantasy game wouldn't just signify the end of Final Fantasy IX, but the end of a whole era of Final Fantasy games. Every single one from 1 to 9 has been considered a gem among gamers as a whole. They've been remastered, reproduced, mass-produced, and they're so easy to get a hold of, and you should love every single one of them. I keep it no secret that this is my favourite Final Fantasy game, and I love that it starts off with this small-time warring kingdom story to this whole two worlds at danger story. You've got to save one, but that destroys the other. What do you do when the other one is destroyed? Oh my god, who am I? What am I? Where did I come from? Kind of story. It's amazing. Every single character is unique and sits very close to your heart, and they will stay there for a long, long time.
It's super effective!
Okay guys, that is it for today. Please remember to leave a comment down below if there's anything that you think I've missed, or if there's anything you'd like me to elaborate on, and I might just cover it in part 3 of this series. Also, don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. My name is Faust, this has been Exploring Final Fantasy IX, and it is super effective.
Lost refrain. Our paths they did cross, though I cannot say just why. We met, we laughed, we held on fast, and then we said goodbye. And who hear the echoes of stories never told, let them ring out loud till they unfold. In my dearest memories, I see you reaching out to me. Now you're gone. I still believe that you can call out my name. A voice from the past, joining yours and joining yours, adding up the layers of harmony. And so it goes on and on. Melodies of life to the sky beyond the flying birds. Forever and beyond. So far and away, see the bird as it flies by, gliding on the shadows of the clouds up in the sky. I've laid my memories and dreams upon those wings. Leave them now and see what tomorrow brings. In your dearest memories, do you remember loving me? Was it fate that brought us close and now leaves me behind? Your eyes will still remember our melody. We'll carry on. Melodies of life come circle round and grow deep in our hearts. As long as we